The first African-American man ever elected as mayor of New York City. He's now talking about his tumultuous time in office. David Dinkins has not been holding back, even playing the race card in his new book. And he sat down with Dominic with more. Dom?
Well, Richard, David Dinkins says he wrote the book in part because he wants history recorded accurately. He feels that fellow Democrat Mario Cuomo, the governor at the time, sold him out over Crown Heights. And Dinkins wants it known that the crime drop started way before Mayor Giuliani took office, and that it was Dinkins that put the cops on the street. Mr. Mayor, you know, I remember it well, assigned to cover your tenure at City Hall. I remember the headline, the New York Post, Dave, do something. And you went to Albany and you found a way to hire all those cops, a whole lot of cops, several thousand, I believe. And during the campaign, there was a, I don't want to say theme, but some that said, as you just indicated, don't return to the Dinkins years, as if that's almost the darkest past of New York City's history. When you hear that, Mr. Mayor, how does that make you feel?
Well, it's just inaccurate. The fact is that crimes went down in the 7 major FBI index categories during our tenure than it had ever before.
You tell a story in the book. All I could do today was laugh. A story of yourself and the governor at the time. His son is now the governor, the son being Andrew Cuomo, but the governor at the time, Democratic icon Mario Cuomo. And
right.
You tell this story where I almost fell out my chair, Mr. Mayor, laughing. You said if there's a fight between yourself, a bear, and the governor, you urged Mr. Cuomo to help the bear and not help you. Tell us why you feel that way.
Well, that was in response to Governor Mario Cuomo having said that he watered down the Girgenti report on Crown Heights, so it wasn't so bad. And of course, when I read it, I thought it was very bad. And so that's when I made the comment, at least I said to myself, I don't know that I ever said it directly to the governor, but I said, if you see me and a bear in a fight, help the bear.
Mr. Mayor, you say of Rudy Giuliani that his underlying message was, quote, the city is in terrible financial straits. Do you really want a black man presiding over it in this time of trouble? You also accuse Mr. Giuliani of all but inciting the police to riot during that City Hall rally that day.
In '93, well, he did. He was on a flatbed truck about 2 or 3 blocks from City Hall, shouting profanity. He later claimed he was trying to calm the crowd, but he wasn't trying to calm the crowd. He was inciting them. And the police, some of them had been drinking, clearly. They overturned a vehicle. It really was a riot of cops, and nobody ever paid a price for that.
I'll never forget that sign. Someone held a sign that's referring to you as a washroom
attendant, yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I kind of saved this topic for last. You say in the book that the reason why your victory margin was so close in '89 was race, and that the reason why you lost in '93 was race.
Well, that's true. I might have more artfully described those circumstances, but in '89, for instance, I had 3 opponents: the incumbent Ed Koch, Dick Ravitch, who had headed up the MTA and did a great job with their capital program, Jay Golden, longtime controller, who I say is the most articulate, knowledgeable person I've ever encountered on municipal government. And the conventional wisdom was that I wouldn't win, that even if we were able to finish first, we wouldn't get 40% and there'd be a runoff. And since each of the 3 was Jewish, their supporters would gang up on me and I would lose. Well, we got 51%, so no runoff. Now I'm facing Rudy in the general election. Keep in mind, he's not yet America's mayor. 9/11 has not yet occurred. And 1.9 million votes cast, and we had a margin of only 50,000. So reporters used to ask me, why was it so close? And I'd say, why do you ask?
Why wouldn't you admit at the time that it was racism?
Well, so I guess I felt that to say so would sort of suggest sour grapes or some such. And my attitude was, well, you look at the facts. What do you think? Now, granted that it's a different electorate in a general election than it is in a primary, but keep in mind also that the Democrats outnumber the Republicans like 5 or 6 to 1.
Mr. Mayor, there are some that will say you lost in '93 because of your record, not because of racism.
Well, it happens that the record was a pretty good one. It's one of the reasons we wrote the book, to point out some of these things. What we were able to do with what we call communicare, the library circumstance, the reduction in crime. And let us not forget the National Tennis Center. Rudy fought me tooth and nail against that. Even after I'd left office, he summoned the United States Tennis Association officials to City Hall and sought to get them to tear up that 99-year lease. His big argument was the flyover penalty provision. There's a provision in the agreement that if planes fly over during the 2 weeks of the tournament, the city has to pay the USTA a penalty. It has never in all these years cost the city 5 cents. And that US Open in 2 weeks generates more revenue into the economy of the city than the Yankees, Mets, Knicks, and Rangers combined. The number these days is about $700 million. And Mike Bloomberg will tell you it's the best deal in the nation for a municipal stadium.
I asked Ed Koch this question, Mr. Mayor, and so I ask you now, and you're still fit, a young man, better shape than I ever will be, a former Marine. I know you like to say still a Marine.
Yeah, once a Marine, always a Marine.
Oh, once a Marine, always a Marine.
Like Ray Kelly.
Like Ray Kelly. What, Mayor Dinkins, when that time comes and you're no longer with us, and who knows, I may go first, but when that time comes, what do you want to be remembered for?
I guess the thing that I care most about is children. They are our future. I tell kids that all the time. I maintain that we adults owe youngsters the ability to achieve their potential. I say that we don't own the planet, we hold it in trust for them. And I would like to be remembered as someone who genuinely cared about children, as I do.
David Dinkins is now 86 years old, Richard, a college professor, radio host. Bottom line, he's still going strong.
Absolutely. I can only hope at 86 I'm going that strong.
He just recently stopped playing tennis, just recently, a couple of months ago.
He seems to still, though, carry a lot of resentment about how his term in office ended.
I think he feels that to date, history has not judged him accurately. And I know that when he was mayor, I just wasn't at liberty to reveal it. I know when he was mayor, he felt that he was seen as a black man and unfairly as a black man. But he felt at that time that he could never complain about it. And I would ask him, Mr. Mayor, if you feel that your coverage is not fair because you're black, say it. And he would say things like, you know, he couldn't because it will be seen as sour grapes. So now, all these years later, he's written a book about his life.
Well, made history, certainly at the time. When we come back here, there was a scene in Washington, as we're obviously all looking at the clock ticking down to Thursday. There was still a scene that played out. And I want to talk about Confederate flags, claims of the president's Islamist agenda, and who was there in attendance, to me, says a lot here. We're going to talk about that and really when we're finally going to hear condemnation from above. Stay with us. RFL back after this.